Sutton United talked on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes now. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United, the National League, are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to the midweek social edition of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. The hesitation there was because I'm actually pre-recording it. If you think that's going to make it even more professional, you are sorely mistaken. Joining me this evening, who obviously didn't hear my monologue, so he quite happily came on, John Davies. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Mike. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So we kind of stumbled across each other on Twitter when you were saying different things about joining the club. You are part of the backroom staff. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is at the club?
Yeah, sure. So my role at the club is basically overseeing the three aspects of analysis that we look at. So we've got the first looking at the first team, the opposition, as well as recruitment. Obviously, recruitment's quite a big thing for a club like us, and Matt and Jace and everyone has recruited really well in the past, as you can see with the players that we've got at the moment. So it's just about building on that as we kind of grow and expand into a bigger club, into a fully fledged Football League club.
Yeah, this is something that sort of was mentioned at the Meet the Manager evening, and it was a little bit, I was taken a little bit aback when Matt has said that we've got things in place. And obviously I don't want you to name names or anything like this, but we've got things in place where there's targets for sort of 2-3 years down the line. If a player was to move on, we've got other targets that we would get to. And I'm guessing you're kind of you're part of that whole identifying players.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a big part of it. So I'll use, as well as regular scouting, kind of seeing players, clips online, or if something piques my interest. If I see so and so scored a hat trick in the Isthmian North or something. A lot of what I use is I'll use data on things like Scout and other freely available stuff like FBref. And if things come up and I notice them, I'll have a little look into them. But I also have my own kind of benchmarks for each specific position. So I know that if I see that a right back is doing a certain thing, I can think, okay, well, that's something that we want our right backs to do, or left backs, or any position on the pitch. And we're basically, I work very closely with Terry Bullivant, and he's brilliant. He's just like incredible knowledge of football from top to the bottom. Like it's a joy to kind of work alongside people like that. Obviously same with Matt and Jason. It's great. I can throw a name out and they'll have heard of them playing in the under 14s a few years ago or something. But yeah, that's kind of it for us. We're wanting as a club to to just keep on building towards staying, remaining in the Football League and making sure that we have all bases covered at all points, basically.
So again, there's going to be a hint of envy in a lot of my my questions, because I think I mentioned to you that this job didn't exist when I left school. And it is just like, oh my God, that's my career. That's what I wish I could have done by 20 years too early. So is it all things like you are the Moneyball, for example? I know it's not quite the same thing, but is it things like you're looking at wingers that beat their man, get their cross in X amount of times per game and so on? Would that be the kind of thing that you're working on?
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think I like most people, I think in doing the job, like most people in the job role that I'm in, Moneyball is like It's like our Shawshank Redemption. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I didn't realize how bad it was until I was scrolling down Twitter and I was like, oh, I've seen that film. What is that? And I clicked on it and it was like a page called Moneyball memes, and I was just like, I was just like, yeah, that's me done. Like that's my main page now. But yeah, that is it. It's basically, there's different types of wingers. To use as an example, we can look at kind of ones that, if we're thinking, okay, I want someone who's specialist at like getting crosses in, or more of like a playmaker, and then more maybe a winger who's maybe more direct. So I'm looking at players, maybe like a winger who's got better in kind of offensive duels, better dribbling stats, maybe someone who's getting a higher XG per game, maybe more touches in the box than perhaps another winger who might be getting more progressive passes, more passes into the penalty area, and has a higher crossing percentage. So a lot of that will be like what I'll do is I'll look at percentages, and then from that, if I'm seeing that kind of, okay, this player's got 100% crossing percentage, and you're like, okay, maybe they've only crossed once this year, and then you can kind of work back from that. And I've got different benchmarks, different Excel spreadsheets that my fiance is always mocking me for having. But finally, they've actually paid
they're
dividends.
working out. Yeah, I love a spreadsheet. Mate. I use Google. I've used Google, but I've got hundreds of them for everything. The only thing I don't like on Google is you can't link them to each other. I can't work out a way of linking them to each other. So when you update this one, it doesn't update a different workbook. It does on Excel. I know that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I used to use Google for an old job that I was in. I used to think, bloody hell, this is incredible. And then when I got Excel, it was just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. The difference on it. Sorry, this is really boring for everyone else. The difference on it is if you're using Google, lots of people can feed into it, so you can update it live. Anyway, we're not advertising Google or Excel.
No. Not endorsed.
So, is the majority of your day then would be analysing the screens rather than actually physically seeing the players, or do you actually get to go out and have a look at the actual players as well?
So yeah, I mean, I haven't. I've done it maybe once for Sutton, but no, it's mainly screens for me. And then we've got obviously Terry, who is great at spotting talent, and then we've also got like a smaller network of scouts who are working for us. Great experience as well, brilliant people at spotting players. So we'll give them like, I'll maybe compile like 3 or 4 players that I've noticed through my different means of like kind of talent identification, and I'll bring it to the scouts. We'll have a chat about it, see if anyone's watched them before, see if let's say if we watch, I don't know, like Kidderminster or something. Let's say we watched Kidderminster last week, and then we're thinking, oh well, we watched Kidderminster last week, and that player didn't pique anyone's interest. So it'll be like, you kind of filter players out a little bit. It's not just like solely kind of, oh, this player has got this amount of XG over the course of the season, let's definitely sign them. Yeah, I don't tend to go out and watch players because I feel like I can do that, but I think my time is better utilised.
Yeah, I could never have done that side of it because I tend to watch the game, think it's a great game, love it, and I've almost forgotten it by the time I've literally walked around from the ground to the bus garage. So I keep quoting the story. I was asked to score, and I remembered the score, and they asked me who scored, and I just went blank. I was like, I have not a clue. And the bloke was like, "You were just there." Yeah, it doesn't mean I remember, mate. So with the opposition scouting or analysing, sorry, what kind of things is involved there? And obviously, not giving away any trade secrets or anything like that, but just what kind of things would that involve?
Yeah, I know this is quite this is the one where we're definitely going to have to cut something because I'll give away a trade secret. But no, I think this is just more like, a lot of it's like quite basic up to kind of difficult. So we'll look at shape. We'll kind of look at who's in form, maybe who's obviously just compiling kind of perhaps where they've scored, where they're creating chances. Mm-hmm. Sorry, beg my pardon.
That's so maybe I'll tweak it a little bit so you don't. I'm not putting you on the spot. So would it be things like you're looking at Scunthorpe and you'd be saying, well, actually, if this striker plays, this is how they tend to move the ball forward quickly, or they slower build up. And do you have like different scenarios for different players?
For sure. Maybe it's kind of like using a little bit of data along with kind of the eye test for the different formations. I'll look at, basically it's like if a team's playing 3-4-1-2 or something, like, okay, maybe they're creating this way, or they're creating less XG, or for me I might think, oh, they're pressing less, or they're pressing higher up the pitch in that formation or something. And then I'll send it over. We'll look at kind of individual stats for certain players, certain positions, and just see where those weaknesses could be. But it's kind of just little bits like that, and just making sure that we've got. It's kind of looking at all bases covered for the way that we play, rather than kind of worrying too much about the other team, thinking, okay,
Yeah.
where can we get at them? How can this benefit the way that we play? How can we look to exploit what they're doing?
Right. So it'd be things, I imagine, like you identified a right back and you think, well, actually, he's not so great with someone running at him.
Yeah.
And you'd say maybe Enzio go on that side to run at him rather than that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of the time, kind of height can be deceiving in the defense. You could look at a player and think, oh, they're 6'3", and you're like, oh, well, okay, let's not kick on him or something. And then you look at the data and you're thinking, actually, I think this guy just had a growth spurt maybe 6 months ago and still thinks he's 5'6". It's just identifying those little bits and then, there'll obviously be a conversation between the coaches about how they want to, between Jason, Matt and everyone else.
I just thought of this, I don't not going anywhere with it at all. Do referees come under the same kind of scrutiny? Because I'll tell you why, because I used to run a Sunday league team, and eventually, after a few years, the same referees were over and over and over. And I got to know the referees, and I got to know that this particular referee does not like you taking any kind of steps from your throw-ons. And it was like just said to the players, literally, every time there's a throw-on, ask the referee wants it from. And it used to wind up the opposition something chronic because they kept getting picked up for it, and we didn't, because our players didn't do it. So I'm just wondering if those kind of things are ever into play, of just saying this referee really gets irritated with back chat.
No, not so much. To be honest with you, because I think I'd just end up just saying, don't say anything. No one putting any tackles. Easty, don't even look at the referee.
That was actually my stop line. Is every decision. Oh, good decision, ref. That must have been a difficult call. Good decision, ref. That was a difficult call. That's all you have to say. That's everything.
Yeah. I played some Sunday league at the weekend, and it's very much the same thing. The wind was really strong, and when I came on, just before I came on, I'd stopped the referee's coat from blowing away. So I was like, "Oh, ref, just to let you know, I stopped your coat from blowing away. So, just like maybe keep cards in your pockets. I mean, I don't mind, whatever,
I used to do this other thing as well, which is I don't run a Sunday league team anymore, so it doesn't matter. I'd always let the refs put their reports in, and I'd phone them up on a Wednesday, just to say, look, I know everything's been done, but is there anything you'd rather me have sorted out? Is there anything you weren't happy with? And they'd say things like, oh, your number 5 was a bit this, that, the other. And then the next time we had the ref, they always said, oh, it was much better today. And I've never said a word to any of the players at all. It's just the ref thought I had, and they always, oh, that was much better. And I was like, oh, good, thanks, ref. I was such an arsehole. I really was an arsehole.
See, anyway. That transfers into another part of my life as well, because I play music, and it's a very similar thing. Like you'd be doing a sound check, and you'd be like, oh, can I have my microphone up? And then I'd be like, yeah, how does this sound? Yeah, much better. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Cheers.
Is that the DFA? But that's the DFA dial, isn't it? Was the Beach Boys had this? I think it was the DFA dial, and someone kept interrupting. And they went, "Oh yeah, I'll just turn up the DFA," and they sort of did it, and it was that does fuck all.
Oh really?
It was like that sounds much better. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yeah.
So I probably should have started with this. Actually, you're professionals always. How long have you been with us now?
With Sutton, so I've been. I started at I don't know if it was a few weeks into the season last year, but so I was working at Wingate in Finchley, because I'm up in North London, and I got I got LinkedIn Pro and just emailed every football club I could in London, and then I got a message back about Sutton, and I obviously did my research, looked at Sutton and everything else, went in for a kind of a brief interview with Matt and Jace just for a bit of a chat, and just from there it's just been basically that's where I started. Yeah, so even when we started this season, my job role wasn't as complete as, it wasn't as expansive as it is now. Like it was mainly just opposition analysis last season, and then this season started out with a little bit of opposition with a little bit of other things, and then we realised that we needed to make like utilize my time, utilize kind of my skill set to make sure that we were kind of able to you kind of kick on basically.
Yeah, it's all those as everyone does. I think it's the Sky Cycling team did it. Those little tiny margins, those little. It might only give you a 0.1% improvement, but all these little things add up over time to huge improvements.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And one thing I've also noticed that you've mentioned on Twitter a couple of times is how you've football managed your life through university, which is the same for, I'm guessing, quite a lot of people. I was thinking today about my football manager history, and I actually was one of the people that played the very original game way back on the Spectrum Amiga. No, not Championship Manager, before Championship Manager, the football manager from donkeys ago, Kevin something or other, created the game, and it was quite easy to fuss out after a little while, because if you bought all the players that were the lowest skill level, all that happened on the database at the end of every season, they just moved all the players down one skill. So when they bought everyone that was a lower skill, they just went to the top. So once you sussed that out, it was like, this is easy.
That's so good.
But I've been playing these games.
I wish Football Manager was that easy now.
The Football Manager, the best one that was actually the Championship Manager, the 2001, because you could get through a season in a fairly decent amount of time.
Yeah, it was rapid, wasn't it?
The last few years, I've bought it because it's just habit now, and I kind of sit there and it's like, I can't do this. I can't give up the time.
Do you always start with Sutton, or who's your go-to?
I did always start with Sutton,
mm-hmm.
But a few years ago, there was a couple of things that happened. One is you probably wouldn't have met him, but you've obviously heard of Wayne Shaw. Right. He used to things at the club, and one of the things was a six-a-side tournament. And we turned up, and there was about 3 weeks in a row I had the right ump with Wayne. Really had the ump with him, and I couldn't actually work out why. And eventually, it dawned on me that he'd refused to sign a contract in the game, and I was taking it out on him in real life.
Amazing.
And then there was a couple others where different things were happening that I'd got promoted, and I was like getting to the staff that were at the club. It was time really to move them on. I'm sitting there going, I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah. I'm friends with Bobby and Catherine on Facebook. I can't.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, I'm not being Sutton anymore. I can't do this.
Yeah, I find the exact same thing. When it's like, I was like, I need to strengthen, like, because the stats aren't the same as what we would look at in real life. I was like, that player might need to move on at the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, imagine playing that on the coach and Beastie looking over your shoulder going, excuse me.
Well, I tell you what, so I've just started I started a save this time because I downloaded one of those databases which was all the way down to step 10, and I was thinking, I wanted to start with like a kind of a team that's close to Sutton or whatever kind of in the area. So I started with Sutton Athletic.
All right,
and I've back-to-back promotions because it's actually quite easy when you're at that level. So I'm in the National League, and I started the season, and I needed a ball-winning midfielder and a box-to-box midfielder, and my scouts came back with 2 free transfers, which was Craig Eastman and Ali Smith, and I was just like, and I looked at them, and I looked at Ali Smith's stats on Football Manager, and I was disgusted. I was like, it's criminal. I'm not sure. I think he'd been a free transfer for 6 months, but I was like, what have they done to him? It's horrible. But neither of them wanted to join. They wanted too much money.
Yeah.
I'll have to chat to them about that.
I used to do that exact thing, but it wasn't quite as far down. And my plan was Wembley to Wembley. So I took over at Wembley FC, and the idea was at some point to become England manager to kind of complete my challenge.
Oh, nice.
To go through the seasons. And I eventually I can't remember who it was. I got up to Leyton Orient and I took them into the Championship.
Yeah.
And I lost 4 games in a row, and they fired me.
No. Oh.
I was fuming. I'd taken them from the National League to the Championship with hardly any budget, and I got
And you
fired.
do
No,
it
Premier
like
League.
that.
No, it was Premier League. It was Premier League. Sorry. I got no budget, and I suddenly got fired. I literally, the laptop nearly went across the room. I was
Yeah,
just fuming. So, yeah. So I haven't played it much
just
since
in
then.
case.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I should have checked this before. Are you in the game?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Oh, it's outrageous.
But I tell you what is amazing is that Clive is the head of performance analysis,
Clive is in the game. I saw that.
and like so I went on the thing because a lot of people basically, you know, I wasn't bitter about it, but my fiance was laughing at me because I was like, oh, I'll just check. I might have done that. I don't mind. And I scrolled down. And I was like, oh, head of performance analysis, you know, that's not necessarily my role in real life. But I was like, that maybe what it equates to the most. And I looked across and I was like, Clive. Right, yeah. But it's great, you know. I'm not on it, but you know, it's my dream. Once I'm on the game, I'll quit my job in real life because that's it.
Well, no, don't do that, because a friend of ours, one of our Sunday League players, was in the game years and years ago as a promising youngster.
Right.
And yeah, so he thought he'd made it, and we got him to play one game for us. And we went, "You ain't going to be in there next year, mate, because you're dog. Get out." And he wasn't. He was never in it again.
No.
So,
You're so
but
good.
he still lives on that he was in Football Manager. It's like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I've never been in it. So.
I signed a friend of mine as a scout the other day, which was quite fun.
Just to fire him.
Yeah.
That's the petting aside for doing. Like, here, watch this.
Not good enough.
So, do you bring your work life into your Football Manager scout? I know you said they're based on different things, but do you ever kind of have your obviously not naming names, but your work list, and then bring it home, just start looking through Football Manager to pick up a few wonder kids?
As in, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
So like if I'm hopefully in the future we'll be able to come back to this moment and I'll be able to say there's a player that I found in real life, and then I looked at him on Football Manager and I was like, I'm also going to try and sign him in Football Manager. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to have that conversation.
Well,
but yeah,
they don't always get it right. It's Tonton Zola Mukoku, from years and years ago, was everyone's go-to player on Football Manager because he was, I think, free or really cheap, and he was brilliant.
Yeah.
He quit football after a couple of years. And Cherno Samba.
Yeah, the classic. I remember there was a guy from Colo Colo in Chile called Nicolas Milan.
Yes.
And I remember getting him a Football Manager and like just thinking he was the best thing in the world, and then nothing came of it. But I also, when I was playing the early Football Managers, I remember sitting down with my dad and playing it, and we were talking about the players. And I'm a Spurs fan, and I was Tottenham, and I bought Theo Walcott, and I remember thinking, wow, this guy's amazing. So I actually wrote a letter to whoever, I can't remember whoever the Spurs boss was at the time, being like, we should sign Theo Walcott, definitely. Like no idea about how scouting actually works. And then a week later, I think he joined Arsenal.
It's because you just sent it second class.
Yeah, exactly.
If you send that letter first class. But there has been, I know it's a game, I'm not stupid, but there's been loads of clubs using the database because it is a really detailed database.
Yeah.
Some of it gets sketchy because then you get, like, I think there was I can't remember what, the Finnish player a couple of years ago that suddenly a load of the fans had put really good stats for him, and he was brilliant, and it didn't even exist, I don't think, in real life.
Oh, really?
So,
I know they put in Easter eggs like that, don't they? I think there's a set group of...
They used to put, when it was Championship Manager, they used to put themselves in.
Yeah, I think they still do, but as new gens. So I think there's a guy called Ollie Burley who always appears.
Yes, but again, that's another great job, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the analyst at Sutton before me now works for Football Manager.
What does he? Wow.
I think so. Yeah, I obviously never met him because he left the job before, but no, I definitely do have. I've got my list of players on my phone, and when I started that Sutton Athletic save, I was like, these are very good players from the Eastern League. I'm going to try and steal them.
I'm going to nab them. So again, obviously, it was partway through last season. So any of the current squad from your initial spotting, or is it too early for that for you?
As in, are any of the players in the current squad?
Yeah.
No, not so much. Like the first transfer window that I've been working on recruitment was January, but we weren't. It's not really a window that we were to.
No.
As Matt said in all the interviews, like I've obviously followed the lead of the management, and that's it. If the right player came along, we'd have moved, but it just wasn't.
No.
So it's more.
No, I mean, our
for a club our
priority
size.
was, sorry, good.
I was just going to say, yeah, for a club our size, it's more about kind of sensible recruitment rather than getting a loan from a Premier League club that you're going to have to spend 10k a week on.
That's a kind of something that's come up over the weekend, really, or since last week. Bristol Rovers with their Newcastle signing, obviously just absolute class apart. And you kind of look and think, well, where would we fit on this? Because would we want? I know we've got Tanto, who I'm still claiming is squatters' rights. We've had him for 3 seasons now.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he's
it's about that point now, isn't it? Surely.
Come on. I've had him for that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just always seems an odd one to me, where they farm out people on loan, and then I think Swindon had a wake up where suddenly 2 or 3 of their players were called back.
Yeah. I was surprised that
expecting.
Simpson wasn't called back sooner, actually. Like in the window, I was surprised that he wasn't. Simpson forward, yeah.
So do you then work with the academy side as well, and keep tabs on all the young players there, or?
No, I don't. That's a different entity. I know that there was academy analysis, like performance analyst. I think he might have recently left, actually. But no,
Yeah,
I don't work with the academy squad. Actually, it's more about I'm all first team.
Okay, and what is it, again, without giving anything away? What do we do for the first team? So is it the same kind of thing that you do for the opposition players, or is it a bit more detailed?
Yeah, really similarly, actually. You've actually nailed it. It's kind of the base kind of line of where goals are scored, how goals are scored, who's scoring, if there's particular players who are linking up and things like that, and then shape, and then I'll just kind of keep an eye on again, kind of like the players who are hitting the benchmarks for their positions and things like that. Like, and it can be really, really enjoyable sometimes. Like when I was putting together a mid-season report for the management for Matt and Jason. I was just kind of going over players' roles, and it's just came up just that Kobe Rowe was the best header, has the best aerial duel completion ratio in the Football League, and it's just a really satisfying thing. And then that Kizzy's best crossover ball in our league, this season, things like that. And it's just little things that you're like, when you look at how we play, the style of play, how we like to set up, and things like that, and it's always nice to see that in the data as well. It might sound really nerdy, but it's just like we're hitting the benchmarks that we want to be hitting, and it's really satisfying to see like that things are happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You mentioned Joe. Have you got any idea what that GIF is about?
What's that? I haven't seen that. Is this his goal GIF? Shall I have a look?
Oh my god!
Oh god! Is it going to upset me? Is it?
It's disturbing.
I love that it's disturbing. That.
Well, at the moment.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So
perhaps he's fully charged.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping.
Maybe someone spelled his name wrong and thought his name was Joe Kinky. I don't know. That could be it.
Who knows? I mean, I did put him in my little poll for Player of the Week. It wasn't just for the goal; it was for the GIF as well.
Yeah, purely for the GIF. The artistic licenses, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Right. No, we're going to have nightmares again now. But yes, it's been great. I don't think my jealousy has come over too much. Hopefully.
No, not too bad. Not too bad.
It's really nice to hear these kind of things, because as I say, we obviously come and watch the match, and you do get a different sense from who's watching it, and then when you hear things like, well, actually no, the player has been asked to do A, B, and C, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe the way I'm watching it is different. I had Ross from the academy on a few weeks ago, and he was talking to me. They scored 2 great goals, and he was talking to me about one of the goals, and I was like, "Why is he even mentioning that one? The other goal was much better." And then when I got to see the full replay, the goal he was talking about had started a good 30 seconds to a minute before it even dawned
Yeah,
on me. So it's nice to kind of go, well, actually, there's a different way of looking at these games. Not, people just really love to hear about it. So thank
yeah.
you very much.
No, no, no
Where
problem.
where are you on a Saturday? Are you on the bench or
I'm
in the
no, I'm not on
stands?
the bench. I'm in and around the stadium most of the time for home games. I think I'll probably definitely try and get on the bus for the Wigan game.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I'm either in up in the stands watching and kind of in and around the changing rooms at halftime and stuff like that. But yeah, not always there, not always there. Only there when I need to be.
So do you get tied up in the emotions of it? I know you play football as well. And do you get tied up in the emotions, or is it you can just be really like, this is yeah, okay, fair
No,
enough.
I can watch it from the point of view of an analyst, but
Mhm.
if we score, I can't turn that off. Like, for instance, I was sat next to David Edgeboy on the up in the stands for what game was it? What was the last minute? I mean, I say what I was going to say. What was the last minute winner game? And it's like, I don't know, any of the
Port Vale?
30 or no, not that one.
Port-
That was great though. I was in the crowd
yeah.
for that, and I jumped on a few people. But it was the it was recently, maybe Colchester. I can't remember, but
Yes.
it was freezing cold. Sat next
Colchester.
to David and a couple of other people on the row, and I had a bottle of water in my hand, and we scored. And I celebrated so much that I squeezed a bottle of water, and the top didn't burst off. It split in the middle and just went all over me. Um, and it was like a good 30 seconds of him just kind of like us just looking around, just like, yeah, I don't know if we should talk about this ever. Like,
Can,
let's just call
can
it
we
quits.
style this
Like,
out?
yeah, I can't turn off. Like once I'm invested, I'm invested, and it's.
Excellent.
I mean, it's a great club to be invested in because, like, I've met a lot of the people who work in the club, but I'm still meeting more and more people all the time because most of the time that I've been working from home. So I maybe will have
Oh
exchanged
yeah.
emails with people, but I won't, or I've spoken on the phone, but it's only recently that I met, yeah, like the chairman and a couple of other people like that, and it's really it's really nice. But it's such a nice club to be involved with. Just forgetting my job role just purely from
Mm.
like people are like, oh, it's a nice community club and blah blah. It's like it really is a nice community club.
There
Yeah,
was a tweet from Emma. There was an Emma who just on Saturday was her birthday, and she had her son with her, and he went down the front, and I think it was Clive had organised all the players, not one or two of the players, all of the players behind him for a little picture, and it's just like
yeah, yeah. I saw
these
that.
little
That-
tiny details. It just makes
Yeah,
everyone go, "I love this. I love this group."
yeah,
Just yeah, you're right. I mean, Bruce is he's super sarcastic.
yeah. Very fun,
love,
very fun.
love him. But yeah, no, it's one of those weird clubs, and the longer you're sort of involved, you keep seeing people rebounding back um, to us, and it's like there must be you must get on at other clubs, but there is just a little something about something, and they look after people. I've had it where I've said before. I've seen reporters say I've got an email from them just about my press pass, and it's one of the nicest emails they've ever received. It's
Right,
an
yeah,
email. It's an email. What's
yeah,
wrong with you? And it's like, no, seriously. It's you don't understand. It's just the coldness of some of the emails, and this was a really nice email. So it's all these little things that make you just really proud to be a Sutton supporter,
yeah.
and
And
obviously member of staff.
it, yeah, like it's like little things. It's like just there's something to do with my contract and little bits the other day, and instead of getting an email, I got a phone call and and a little chat instead. Do you know what I mean? It's like those little things where in jobs I've worked in the past, it would be like a, do you want this? Blah blah blah, and it was like a phone call, a little catch up. How you doing? Okay, let me know. No problem. Blah. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit more every time.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
I think we've all been saying it, and I can't. I think it was the Gandemonium lot or someone that said it and phrased it. Is we're bringing non-league to the football league. We might be football league, but we're non-league
yeah,
in
yeah,
football.
yeah.
Um,
And
and hopefully,
it
yeah,
sorry.
and hopefully, as that's right. And as you mentioned, we've got the Wigan match coming up very soon. I think they're being announced tickets in the next couple of days. But yeah, thank you for that. That was a great chat. We'll
problem.
definitely, hopefully, catch up with you again, and you can give me the heads up on that player when it happens.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, mind you could do that to anyone. Because we haven't actually said the name. You could go, yeah, that's the one I told you about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'll do. Yeah. When we sign a 53-year-old Messi, I'll be like, honestly, I've been saying it for years. His
That's the
XG
one.
numbers through the roof.
Thank you all for listening. The competition is still going on. You can win a copy of digital copy of FIFA 22. It was my first ever collab, and I got paid to do a tweet, and it's something I've already got, so that was really useful. So I'm going to give it away to you lot. So please do it. It's literally on suttonpodcast.com/competition, and the details are on there. You do need to listen to the previous podcast of me boring you all to tears to get the actual answer. But thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, John, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you.